All right, so here's what I'm gonna call the finale of the EPAS install. It's not completely permanently in. I need to pull it again. I want to paint the support bracket that I fabricated, and I need to fix my set screw that I have in the column. I need to shorten it. It was too long when I put it in, and for whatever reason I thought that it would be fine and left it. I need to cut it down. It sticks out too far and it's binding when I rotate the wheel. But there's a set screw that's behind this little rubber plug, and that's what's catching it. The inner shaft that holds this actually came unclipped, so I needed to pull it apart to fix that. But the inner shaft that feeds through this, I didn't cut short enough. I need to cut it back a little bit more, because that's also part of the reason, because I had to drill through not only the outer shaft to get this set screw hole, but the inner shaft as well. So I'm gonna cut it back behind that so there's no inner shaft right there, and it shouldn't bind up at all anymore. The last thing I need to do, other than paint that, fix this, I have to figure out where the hell I'm gonna mount this. I don't really know. Honestly, I don't know where I can put this, because the motor, shy of re-terminating this and extending this wire, this is like just short enough to not reach the inner panel up here. It's too short to reach back here on this. It like won't reach anything. The only thing I can maybe do is fabricate a bracket to hang off of the pedal assembly, which I don't know if you can see up here, but so see those two bolts there? I could do an L-shaped bracket to like bolt to that and then drop down and then bolt this to the side, kind of like that, and that might work. But yeah, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do that. But anyways, on to the nice stuff. So one, if you ever need hose fittings, kind of off topic from the EPAS, but if you need hose fittings or, you know, AN fittings, whatever, AN hose, PTFE hose, whatever, this fitting, this hose, this fuel pressure regulator that I just replaced is made by them. It's a company, he's got an eBay store, it's called Faster. Probably 90% of all the fittings and hoses on this car are from him. So if you need any fittings, like I said, they're pretty good quality parts. I mean, they are China, but they're more how to say it, I guess better quality control on the parts. They're not just like the crappy machined cheapy China ones you get off eBay. And I think he does the anodizing. I think they're manufactured there, but I believe he does the he laser etches a logo on them, which I don't know if you can actually see on any of the ones I have. Let's see if I have one over here. Probably don't. Cheap when it came with the kit. That's not it. Yep, there's one. That right there. That's his logo, so look for that. I tried to get a semi-business card or sticker so that would have it, but anyways, yeah. So anyways, I got a new fuel pressure regulator. So listen to this beaut. No more squeal. Isn't that great? All right, so onto the steering. So right now I just have it ghettoed for testing, and I just have this little rink-dink switch with a clippy. And I forgot that this wire coming out of this is hot, so I zapped the shit out of myself earlier because I'm sweaty as hell. But yeah. So anyways, this lovely thing. So flip this little doohickey on here. There's the click. All right, no steering wheel. I'm just gonna grab it with my hand. And there's the bind that I was talking about where it's catching. I don't know if you can hear it where it held up. Yeah, hear it? That's that screw catching. But yeah, so I can turn it, you know, with just grabbing the top of the column with no steering wheel and turn it. So I'm sure this thing's gonna be finger to turn, like super easy. Now, I will say, if you're like me and you have this billet bracket, you have to make a support bracket, which you can see mine right there. I bolted to the top of the pedal box there and down to the motor. It's kind of ghetto. It took forever to figure out the angle and twist to make it work. And I had to notch it because of this stupid wiper motor and all kinds of fighting. I spent literally most of this afternoon trying to fabricate that. That took the longest. So I will say that's one thing that sucks about having this fancy billet bracket, is because you have to have that. Otherwise, this column wants to just tilt up and down. Flip this motor back off. There we go. So I mean, just having it's just 2 bolts here. So with just those 2 bolts there, the weight of that motor at the bottom and then all the leverage of this column, it just wants to flex back and forth. So I can only imagine what driving would be like. The steering wheel's gonna be, you know, bobbing up and down. Every time you hit a bump, that motor's gonna put stress on this. It's gonna eventually break a weld on the dash somewhere. But on top of that, there's only like one little set screw. See a little Allen there? I had that set, and even with that set, I tried to test it before making the bracket. It wanted to spin this motor because the car's not rolling, and it's putting tension against the tires, which have a lot of resistance on them. So it instead was wanting to just rotate the whole column, and it was. So if you go this route, instead of going like EPAS Performance, because I think their setup, you don't actually have to have a support bracket, but I'm not positive. I want to say theirs is just clamped. And if you have the factory setup, I want to say those have a notch. You could probably run a set screw into the column and you would be fine. But stock columns have like a big oval notch that a little tab locks it in place. But yeah, I definitely suggest making some kind of support bracket to lock it in place, and one to help support the weight of the motor and, you know, it wanting to teeter-totter, but 2 to prevent it from rotating the whole assembly. So overall, let's see, the motor assembly cost me, I want to say it was $120. I think it was $120. I could be wrong. I'll have to go back and look, but I want to say it was $120 roughly for the motor and the column assembly with the inner shaft and the intermediate shaft, which, by the way, that's how that looks. Intermediate shaft feeds through the pillow bearing. I just made a new stainless plate. And then on the outside, let's see here. Over here, it's just the other side of the intermediate shaft. Like I said, you have to separate them. You can see actually the top of that little groove in the upper sleeve, which I can't point at because I'm holding this light. You can see where it's notched. That's where I cut the spot weld. Oh, it wasn't a spot weld, it was an indention. But yeah, and it just joins to your double D shaft that I already had, which you don't already have that, and obviously you have to buy that. But I actually bought double D and didn't need it. Sorry for the camera work here. Turn this light off. So it was, I think, $120 for the EPAS motor assembly. It was $180 for the column. So I'm at $300. I already had my steering wheel adapter, which did bolt up. You're gonna need tools, basic shop tools, cut-off wheels, sander, grinder. You're gonna need a welder, you're gonna need a drill. I used a bandsaw for a majority of the stuff. By the way, if you didn't watch my old video where I did a review on this Bauer Harbor Freight Special, this thing's a beast. The blades that come with it are trash. Buy some DeWalt blades. But yeah, that thing's amazing. Well worth the money. I've put that sucker through its, whatever. I'm blanking on words right now. But anyway, so roughly $300. I'm trying to think if I bought anything else. I don't think I needed any kind of U-joints because I used the intermediate shafts and the inner splines, and I used that 1-inch sleeve double D with the solid 3/4 double D to sleeve together. I mean, and I already had some double D rod. Double D's cheap. You can get that, you know, 20-30 bucks. But $300 for this and some time, which granted was probably a good solid 2-3 days of messing with this, and versus $1,500 for EPAS Performance, which granted their setups pretty much bolt in and go. So I mean, if you have some fab skills, so far so good. I haven't test drove it yet, so I can't say if it's going to be amazing yet, but I'm liking it. So far so good, and it was not too bad. Like I said, the fitting and fabricating measurements and whatnot, and that bracket's the biggest pain. Still got to figure out something to do with that vent if I can use it. Still got to figure out something to do with the box, but whatever. Overall, I'm happy, and yeah, I'll do a video later on of it driving and let you know how I think, or how it handles as far as, you know, low speeds, high speeds, etc. But I'm digging it so far. Hopefully tomorrow I'll get this finished up and be able to take it for a test drive. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Talk to y'all later.